Hello, this is Sandy. Welcome back to my art channel. I hope you're doing good and you're having a great week. In this video, I'm going to be doing some compositional studies using a autumnal color palette. I'm going to be using these acrylic inks and just a little bit of acrylic paint in black and white. So I have these Daler Rowney acrylic inks. I've recently purchased these and I just wanted to have a bit of a play around with them really. I've gone for Process Yellow, Magenta and Purple Lake. I also have some Stabilo Woody crayons and some Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons just as some mark making tools in autumnal colours just to do a bit of mark making so it's not just paint. I also have some paint application tools. So I have a paintbrush, a sponge, a brayer, some silicone tools, a palette knife, and like a credit card scraper. And I'm just going to use these to apply a load of paint down really intuitively. And I'm working on an A3 sheet of mixed media paper and I've taped it off into 6 sections. I'm going to paint all over the top of it, trying to ignore the tape and then cut them into 6 sections and see what we get. So the idea is I wanted to start with some first marks of saturated colour, so pure colour straight from the tube. And I'm going to mix up some different tones with the black and white with the acrylic inks and then just see what we can get really. It's just a nice way of warming up if you want to paint but you're not really sure where to start. This is just a nice way of kind of warming up or practicing your composition skills really. So I'm just going straight in with the ink and I'm just putting down those initial first marks. So I'm now going in with the Process Yellow and just using the dropper to just put the yellow all over the page really, just in these swirling motions, and just putting a base level of saturated colour down really. I want to get a bit of a mixture of saturated colour, so pure colour straight out of the bottle, and then later on I'll mix in some more muted colours. But for my base I just want to get some big bright bold colours down in some nice big shapes just to start me off. So now going in with an orange Stabilo Woody and just doing a bit of mark making. Just try not to hold my pen too tightly, just loosely, just doing some marks all over the page and just trying to be really loose and free about it. So I've just gone in and mixed some of the colour that was on the palette together and put in a bit of white and a little bit of black just to have a bit of difference in value. And also the ink that's gone down is kind of transparent, so I wanted a bit more of an opaque pop of colour on there. And again, I'm just trying to be loose and free and go over the paper and just add a little bit of a different colour just to get, again, just to have a bit more of a variation in value and add a bit of contrast. Just playing around, just trying to add lots of different bits, trying not to do things too similar, and just trying to kind of go quickly and not get too thinky about things and just have fun really. I've just grabbed an olive green Neocolor 2 and I'm just adding a few marks in there. I wasn't really loving the green that much, so I didn't add too much of it, but it was nice to just add a little bit of mark making with, against all the paint. As I don't really have that many tools, I purposely tried to limit what I had so that I couldn't get overwhelmed and, again, too thinky. So I'm just going in, adding some scribbles and marks, just as a bit of a variation in the line work. I've now mixed up a little bit of a dark grey and I wasn't really liking it. I felt it was a bit dark at this stage, so I just added a little bit, and then I just mixed a bit of a lighter colour that I was a bit more happy with. It's kind of just like a cool grey colour, just to contrast against some of those brighter colours, just to add a bit of difference really. And I'm going in with that sponge and just trying to add some marks all over the page, as I have done with the previous bits and bobs. So it's all getting a bit samey same, so I added some black acrylic ink for some contrast. And as I was going in, like a lot of square type shapes and lines, I just wanted to do something a bit more curved, just to add not only a contrast in colour, but a bit of contrast in the line work as well. So after I added the acrylic ink, I just waited for that to dry. And I'm now going in with a bit of purple. It was the Purple Lake ink, and I'm just going in with this brayer and just seeing what effects that will make. Just having lots of fun experimenting with what the materials do with different tools, really, and just trying to make lots of different marks on the page. Now just going in with a brush, and I've mixed up some of the Purple Lake with some of the black and white, and I've just made like a kind of lilac colour, and I'm just adding a bit more of a some more clean brush strokes with that more muted colour, just to bring some of that in, as I just felt like it needed a little bit of a lighter colour brought back in. And I'm just again trying to cover the whole page, and I'm trying not to see each section as its own piece, but I was struggling with that a little bit, and I had to keep reminding myself to go over the whole page and not just keep, not think of them as individual pieces, because that just gets you all up in your head about it and defeats the object, really. Well, I just wanted to go in all over the page, really, and I was just having to keep reminding myself of that fact. So now I want to bring some more of that contrast back in. I mixed some of the Purple Lake with all of the other colours that I had on my palette, and also with a bit of black. So this looks black, but it's actually a really dark purple, and I was really enjoying it. So I'm just going in with my palette knife, and I'm just making some big bold marks all on the page, just to add some contrast, because we lightened it up with the purple or lilac, and now I just felt like it needed some darks again. So I'm just going in different sections and just making some more marks with that bold colour. So I've just gone back in with a brush, and I'm just adding some more curved lines, just to give another variation, as there's still quite a few straight lines, and just trying to just do some different things, really. And at this stage, really just kind of playing around, and just I felt quite loose and free, and was just enjoying mixing different colours and making different marks, really. Just mixed up a bit of a darker toned grey there, which I really liked. It's like a grey colour, kind of purpley colour, which is smoky colour almost. And then making it slightly warmer, just playing about to make the tones a bit different. I've just dried that off a bit. I've also added in some blobs of the magenta acrylic ink, like the pure colour, and some of them I've left as like little dots and blobs, and then I've just gone in with my finger and I'm just smushing some of that colour around. I just felt like making some marks with my finger, and just, especially in this little bit here, I was kind of enjoying rubbing some of that transparent colour into some of the other more opaque sections, and just seeing how that blended in with the purple. And yeah, just trying to be really loose and free and experimental, really. So it's looking very chaotic. So I'm just drying this off, and then I'm going to call it a day here and peel off the tape and see where we're at. So another reason for using a hairdryer is to heat up the tape, because it's very sticky, and just heating it up allows the tape to come off more easily. I'm not bothered about the border or the edges on this piece. It was really just to give me a nice clean edge to help me see where I'm at, and help me to, help me to create some smaller pieces. I'm not precious about the edges, but if, as you can see, some of the paints come through onto the white edges, but if that happens, if you tried this yourself and that bothers you, you can always paint over it with white acrylic. It's not a problem at all. Or you can just completely cut those borders off, and you've still got your individual pieces. So it's not really an issue for me. I also like to do this because I like the designs on some of the tape, and it's really good for collage paper. As you can see, I've just taken a bit off on the bottom there, and I really like the design on it. It would be really good to use for collage. So that's another reason why I like to do it this way. So yeah, I'm just continuing to peel off that tape and just gonna then take a restock and see where we're at. So here are our 6 pieces with the tape peeled off. Looks much nicer now that the tape's been peeled off, and there's a bit more clarity around it. I'm really happy with the colours here. I'm loving the colours, and some of the mark making and the line work is really interesting. They're very chaotic and unresolved, obviously, but what I'm going to do now is just cut them into individual pieces and then maybe just see if we can work at resolving some of them, or just having a bit of a practice with composition and seeing what we can do with them. So here are my individual pieces. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm just going in. I've got some yellow, and I'm just going to go in and try and cover up some of the areas I don't like, and just try and resolve some of these pieces, see if we can improve them, see if I like any of the compositions, just kind of rework them a little bit and then see where we are with them. It's a really good way of practicing composition. You can just cut these up into individual pieces and then just, you know, be a bit more considerate about them now. Now you've kind of like had your experimental time and just got, a load of mark making down, a load of colours down, you've got something to respond to, and you can actually practice on consciously what type of compositions you like and refining some of those colours a little bit. So I was thinking with this piece that this area within that kind of semicircle was a little bit chaotic and messy. So I thought, why don't I add some yellow and make this shape a bit more defined? And I added in a bit of Naples yellow mixed with a bit of white, and I just wanted to see how that would look. I do kind of like it better now that it's cleaner, and I've taken some of the messiness out of the shape, been a bit more decisive, but I'm thinking it's still a little bit too kind of toned down. So what I then do is add a bit more pure yellow into that colour just to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. And I like that a lot better. And yeah, really just kind of experimenting with kind of adding and subtracting different elements until you get a composition and a colour palette that you're happy with, really. So I continued playing for a while longer, and I was getting to a point where I was getting, I wasn't really loving any of the compositions as the pieces were. So what I thought I would do is change my perspective even further, and I grabbed my aperture cards and I looked for even smaller pieces within the pieces that we had already cut out. And because there was sections that I really, really enjoyed, and I thought, well, just see if you can, make something out of the sections you really like. Because this is what it was all about for me, just studies in composition, finding compositions I liked and color combinations I liked and things like that. So I cut down these 3 pieces into smaller squares. I think they're about 5.5 by 5 centimeters, and I enjoyed these much better. So this is the first one, and in this piece, I really liked the red dots. I think they're so perfectly formed, and they're in that really nice golden section of the piece, so acting as a nice focal point. I also liked how they looked contrasting against that kind of green grey colour. I like the line work, the contrasting lines, and the black against the bright yellow and orange. I just thought it worked quite nicely as a little composition, and there was parts of it that I really, really enjoyed. So much happier with this composition. And this is the second piece that I really liked. What I like about it is that kind of dark purple section on the left hand side, and how it's quite harsh and opaque, contrasting against the more transparent layers of purple and pink. And I really enjoy that there's that little green section acting as almost like a focal point, that other pop of green at the top and the white space. I just really enjoyed the colours on this one, and it's just got a nice feel to it, and I enjoyed the composition. And finally, this little piece I really enjoyed. What I like about this piece is the pink section contrasted against that really dark kind of purple squiggly part. And I really like that dash of bright yellow, again, acting as like a focal point, giving your eye somewhere to rest. I enjoyed the white space, the pop of green, and just the way the composition looks together. So much happier with these individually. I learned a lot doing this. It was really, really helpful. So here they are again together. This is a really nice exercise to do just as a warm up, and especially for kind of like doing compositional studies. You know, when you cut them up, you can cut them up as many ways as you want. Just find what works for you, find what you enjoy. What parts do you like? And maybe you could stick them in your sketchbook. You can write about them so you're kind of learning, or you could put them in little aperture cards like this. You could make cards out of them, or you could even frame them up on the wall. So this was really helpful for me. I'm now really excited to go and do loads more. And I think I might do some more minis because I'm really enjoying that kind of scale. So just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.